I've been on a bit of a nostalgia kick lately, so I've been playing my original 360 and just thumbing through all of the original Xbox and 360 games that we have here at the shop. I've recently been playing through Mass Effect. I've put like 2 seconds into Halo again. COD campaigns, all the various things. Also regretting playing online because apparently people can just reset your account now if you play Modern Warfare online, which I think is stupid, but okay. So I decided while I was at work, since I don't have a 360 here, we have an original Xbox. And I went out of my way to go. There was an ambulance. There was an ambulance right as I was starting actually getting. There was an ambulance. Okay. I loaded up an original Xbox. I wanted to play Xbox games because I'm just in the mood for, I don't know, that time of my life, which apparently I wasn't alive for. I started with Trophy Hunter 2007, which, believe me when I say, is the most boring fucking game ever. I also might just be bad at hunting. Then I moved on to playing Counter-Strike, which is a lot more fun. I had so much fun on Counter-Strike. I played a couple of games of Demolition versus some bots, which was fine, it worked out. But then I remembered that we got a copy of The Punisher traded in recently. It was disc only. We got it traded in a totally incorrect case, one for like Fight Night or something like that. And I needed to test the disc because it had this giant gross scratch on it. So I put it into the Xbox, and then I was like, oh hey, Volition made this. Very happy with the fact that Volition made this. I opened the game. Punisher is a lot more violent than I thought a video game that actually got released would ever be.
Please don't hurt me. I'll cooperate. This can't be happening.
So the Punisher is very dramatic. In fact, loading into missions is called the War Zone for some reason. Maybe a comic reference? I don't know, I never read any Punisher. But I do know that now I'm understanding why this game is like $30 disc only. I go into the War Zone. Okay, we go into the War Zone. And the first mission, mind you, is called the Crack House. And you hear the Punisher all, like, emo-ly going, oh, there's a crack house in my neighborhood that needs to get dealt with. Which, you know what? I didn't know that the Punisher just sought out things to do and was just like, oh, I'll just deal with this. It's a slow day, I'll deal with the crack house. But you load up the map. You're going through this dark alleyway. It's all chill and fine, but the game still has to teach you some of the mechanics, so you come across some lady getting mugged, and, in that series of events is how the game teaches you how to crack a skull open on the pavement, as well as, choke somebody and just generally interrogate them. I was so thrown by this, because I've played a lot of Volition-developed games. I think I've had my fair share of, like, violent video games, but, the Punisher really, it gets you. So my favorite level by far in the game is actually the Chop Shop, and this is because I was getting into the groove. This is like the second level of the game. So I'm getting into the groove of playing and being the Punisher and dual-wielding shotguns like a badass. And then I learn that you can drop a car on an enemy in the Chop Shop. Okay, it was so much fun. I'm gonna say it was fun. It was fun. The game gets you like that. But I didn't expect it to be this awesome, because I also decided, oh hey, as I'm going around the map just looking at stuff, there's this giant, like, pit in the Chop Shop that the Punisher himself can't go through, but you can toss dead bodies into, or, like, human shields into. So I walk over this hole, and I'm like, oh hey, can I throw this guy in there? I pick up the guy. I can throw him in there. And then, what, a week later, or a couple of days later, as we're streaming it for the channel, I'm sitting here telling Caitlin, I'm like, throw the guy in the hole! Throw the guy in the hole! And this is just such a stark difference between, like, when I started the game and I was like, oh, you know, maybe I don't want to play Torture Simulator, and now it's like, I want to, like, utilize all of the special interrogations and, like, weird random things you can do, because now I'm looking around the map like, what did they develop for me to fuck around with this time? This game is so unserious. I went from taking it almost a little bit too seriously to just, it's a Volition game. Like, I need to remember it's a Volition game. Not only that, the Punisher is just kind of like this, so it's, not a surprise that it's this, outwardly and unnecessarily violent, but it's a lot of fun. So according to what I could find on the internet, apparently this release of The Punisher was completely banned on Twitch because it got given the adults only rating, which we can see why. Like, there's game, it's violent. But on the disc it says mature, and a lot of people stream it on Twitch anyway, just under the, like, Genesis Punisher game title category thing, so it's fine. So we did that, and you know, I think it's fair that it's mostly banned on Twitch. Like, it does have an excessive amount of violence and gore. Like, there's an option to toggle it off, so I don't see why it's that big of a deal. The Punisher is actually what started Volition's beef with Australia, the entire country. So apparently this was an issue in Britain as well as Australia. So to even get the game released in Australia, Volition had to go back and render a lot of the interrogation scenes in black and white and cut things to off-screen, so it'd be off-screen violence and not, you know, right in front of your face. And also apparently give players a point penalty if they needlessly kill, what they're called, victims? But, like, essentially enemies, anyone you could use as a body shield. After they've confessed, if you kill them, you get docked points. Which I still don't know what the points are for. I don't care necessarily, but I don't know what they're for. And Britain themselves requested even more cuts to the interrogation scenes because they were just so violent and brutal and obscene. It's the fucking Punisher, it's a video game. Australia and Britain were definitely doing the most over here, with Australia removing 2 scenes entirely. 2 full scenes just pulled out of the entire game. Cool, I guess. We'll never get to see those. While Germany was just like, don't let kids play this game. They just put it on a list of like, this might be harmful towards children. Maybe we shouldn't let them play this. Great. Germany seems to know what they got going on. Even in the majority of reviews that I read for the game, and things like spoken about it, Punisher was deemed a torture simulator than a game. Is bold and not wrong. This wouldn't be the last time that Volition released a game that was so obscene and or violent that it got temporarily banned in the country or had a bunch of cuts or even got given just wildly weird reviews. My favorite example, which is the part that I was really excited to get to, is Saints Row 4. Because that was briefly banned in Australia. It was actually the first time Australia has full out banned a game under their guidelines for classification of computer games in like 2013. It was some new guideline they just recently released. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna put the first one we're using this on, Saints Row 4. They did point out that one aspect that brought them to this decision was the alien probe, which I personally used against Santa's gingerbread men in the Christmas DLC and had a lot of fun with because it was funny. Apparently IGN posted about the game. In the board's opinion, Saints Row 4 includes interactive, visual depictions of implied sexual violence which are not justified by context. It's a huge stride since, for the first Saints Row title, like, Volition had imposed such strict rules on the game, such as the exclusion of children and the inability to kill the police. But, like, they were really careful with the first Saints Row title as to not generate too much controversy. It's in Saints Row 2 where it gets just a teeny bit wackier, not as wacky as, like, the 3rd and 4th game in the series, and definitely not as wacky as Get Out of Hell, which I enjoyed, but most people didn't. I'll let you guys have that, okay? But Volition definitely had a much better sense of humor with 2. Shortly after these releases, Volition was purchased by Deep Silver, and they spawned Saints Row 4, Get Out of Hell, and Agents of Mayhem, which people don't really know about Agents of Mayhem, which Agents of Mayhem was some spin-off that plays kind of like Saints Row 4, but not quite. I personally love all these games, as the Saints Row franchise is near and dear to my heart. It was actually a tragedy to hear that so many people hated the Saints Row reboot, because I ended up really liking it. I like the humor and camaraderie that is Saints Row, and I think that the reboot did really capture that, and I'm playing through both the reboot and the first game. Like, I'm having fun with it. I've played these games. After that Saints Row reboot, Volition closed its doors and basically shut down forever after being transferred to Gearbox. So, who do we have to blame? Which this unfortunately meant no more unnecessary gore, no more Saints Row, and no more free space, apparently, ever again. You know what? Volition was good at this, and I'm really surprised that Rockstar didn't hire on more of their their staff after Volition died, because fuck! GTA 6 is gonna... it's gonna fucking need it. And as always, thank you so much to our patrons that support us over on Patreon. All of the tiers, I'll be listing them here. If you'd like to support us, you can check out our website where you can shop online, check out the TCG or eBay, or just shop from us directly. I have so much Warhammer put up on there, and we happily ship, so don't be afraid to give me your money.